talk about what
Recording is
and how we can use work-based learning to try to help with your labor shortages. We're looking at how we can work with our secondary education, post-secondary education, involve internships to apprenticeships, try to get you that labor force. So today we're going to have some of our local manufacturing individuals that I work with on a regular basis to kind of do a little bit of overview on where they're going, what they're doing, how they're using work-based learning, and what success they're seeing. And so to start things off, we thought we would have the CEO, on behalf of the state, and we'll talk a little bit about what they're doing to help manufacturers in our state.
Thank you, Lee, so much, and thank you all for welcoming DCO here in the Metro East. As most of you all know, there's a lot of friends, local partners, and colleagues all committed to ensuring that one of the top industries in our state continues to get investments and continue to inspire the next generation of future makers to pursue a career in manufacturing. I just want to throw out a couple of stats here, because I think when we think about manufacturing, unfortunately, a lot of folks think about some dirty tool and die manufacturing shop that somehow is not doing cool, innovative things. And I want to push back on that. For all the young people that are here today, I want them to know that on behalf of Governor Pritzker and Director Sylvia Garcia, we are investing in machinery and equipment and innovation in manufacturing that we've never seen before. Most of you all know we have over 18,000 manufacturers in the state of Illinois, employing over 550,000 Illinois across the state. We're the fourth top exporter in manufacturing, up just one number from last year. Many of the young people that we know will be the future makers need to understand that this is not just a viable career because you're making really cool things, right? Whether that's at Rivian, Bloomington Normal, or at Lion Electric, which is going to be in LWIA, or as we see more manufacturers like TerraSource standing up apprenticeship programs for us. As many of you all just recently heard, the $200 million expansion from Boeing down at Mid-American Airport. We know that we're going to need a workforce that is highly skilled, but it is committed to continue to grow in this very great industry. I want to talk a little bit about our commitment to manufacturing over the last 2 years in the Pritzker administration. Many of you all know there's a nice, slick mobile unit out there, but we also committed $7.5 million to build one of our state-of-the-art manufacturing training academies here in the state of Illinois, in Southern Illinois, because we know that due to COVID-19, we need to upskill, reskill a lot of folks to the biggest place. Again, we continue to provide a series of tax credits, whether that be our EDGE tax credit, our apprenticeship tax credit, our enterprise zones. All of that is designed to provide more opportunity for manufacturers to continue to grow here and invest here. But I think the important piece to talk about is that we always thought about workforce development last. And unfortunately, we got to think about workforce development first. It doesn't matter how many jobs we create, how many investments we make, we don't have the people there to fill those jobs. And so with Tony and Rick and Lee and everybody, and Brian, everybody in this region that works tirelessly to ensure that we have apprenticeship programs, we have funding for those apprenticeship programs, the on-the-job training programs, and cover worker training programs are all here to ensure that we can continue to build that pipeline. But to do you one better, just 2 weeks ago, we announced $40 million in workforce development dollars through our job training and economic development program. For many of you who may have been following the Department of Commerce roughly 10 years ago, we had launched this program. And really, this is our opportunity to be bold around workforce development, cultivating craft-specific workforce programs that are going to provide the skills for, manufacturers of the future. But more importantly, help expand and continue to invest in the talent that we know have the skills of the future. So I'm excited to be here to kick off this event today. I'm excited to see all the cool manufacturers and all the cool young people who are thinking about this career that we know will help provide a lifeline, not just for their families, but for their friends and others who are interested in making a career for a lifetime. So with that, I appreciate the invitation today. This is my favorite month. Governor Pritzker officially proclaimed it last week, and we announced our 40th manufacturing expansion, which so happened to be one of 4 domestic producers of castings whose client is Boeing. So when you start to see all the connection there, and you see all the cool things that we're doing here in the state of Illinois, we just hope that all of you continue to share the good news, continue to support one of our largest industries, continue to work in lockstep with us to ensure that we can invest in our members of the future. Thank you.
All right, so our first presentation will be by Belleville 201, Dr. Brian Lipster. Come on. Sure. Brian can talk about what they're doing. They just purchased a rather large facility and made a huge commitment into advancing their students' opportunities in the region in regards to manufacturing.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. As he said, I'm Brian Renzo. I'm superintendent of Belleville District 201. So I want to go back probably with you about 7 or 8 years. I've been with Belleville District 201 for almost 13 years. And probably about 7 or 8 years ago, we started to hear from our community through our Chamber of Commerce, through friends of ours that, hey, have you guys forgotten about the trades, essentially? And unbeknownst to virtually everybody in the public, we had trades programs in our schools. But I kind of joked at that time that we were really doing just enough to make you dangerous in your own garage, but not really providing the community with anything. And so, you know, through conversations with local businesses, I'm really happy to see Mac Medical here because Dan Cooper and I have been talking for 7 or 8 years about our district's inability to put forth employees that he could use in the way that he needed to use them. And so what we decided to do then was we started to talk to SWIFT pretty extensively about, hey, how do we begin to align programs? And then we made an investment in some personnel. Mandy Quinn is going to speak after me, and she is she really circled all of our wagons for our career and tech ed stuff. She's great with local businesses. She understands kids, and partnering those two groups together have made us successful to this point. But we're at the point now where we feel like we need to do more. Our programs are full. Our instructional spaces are full. Our curriculum that we have right now has more students interested and engaged than we do time and instructors. So we've got to make a change. So at the end of probably last year, about this time, we started looking really intently at a significant expansion to our program. So this will be it. Hopefully. There it is. So we purchased Kings Point, which was kind of an underutilized tennis club in the city of Belleville, just off of Highway 15. It's about 100,000 square feet. It's 50,000 square feet of what would be traditional meeting, office, classroom space, and then there's 50,000 square feet that was once a series of tennis courts. So this is the dream coming alive here. We've got another, I believe we've got another elevation as well. So this will house all of our career and tech ed advanced programming as well as our alternative high school programming as well. I think I've got a list of programming. So here it is. So you can kind of see we're going to take about 20,000 square feet of the large space on the tennis courts, and that's going to be very large lab spaces. It's going to have state-of-the-art manufacturing, welding, automotive, machining and metalwork, carpentry and construction. And then we're going to maintain about 30,000 square feet of space for future expansion, and we're also going to utilize that space to give our students an opportunities that they don't have. So our goal here is to increase opportunities for all of our kids. One of the things that we know as well is a lot of our students do not have the wherewithal to get off-season baseball training across the river. They don't have it. So we're going to provide space for that as well. Athletics, extracurricular activities will be able to utilize the facility as well. It's going to be set up kind of like a college/workspace atmosphere. It's going to be less high school-like, more collegiate-like. Flexible learning and teaching spaces, and then anytime you purchase a facility that already exists, you get what could be deemed as some perks along the way. I probably had more questions about the pool than I have anything else associated with the, can my child's swim team continue to use the pool? Those questions, but it should be pretty cool. And yes, we are going to use it. On the left-hand side are our current program offerings. One of the things we recognize, first off, is we have to do these things well. We did not do these things well for a long, long time, and we are getting much better. But technology, coding, and programming is something that we've initiated. We're going to work on. We're going to work through Cisco for some additional certifications there. Culinary arts, welding, machining, metals, automotive, carpentry, construction. Those will be the programs that we begin with next August in the facility. And then we are working through some additional expansions. Our business community, our educational systems, some of our other folks that we've been talking and working with have kind of consulted with us, and we do have some ideas for future expansion. Really, education, childcare, early childhood, some entrepreneurship stuff that we already have going with Bellevue, East, Bellevue West, and Altough in our community. Healthcare, obviously, is big in the community of Belleville, and something that we've heard from that industry as well. Cosmetology and more. So, these are just some sample spaces. You all see them and know them better than anyone. But one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting insight from not only our partnership with SWIC, but also our business community, our manufacturing community when we design these spaces. Because the worst thing we can do, and we were talking about this morning, was what kind of a software system does our community need our students to be adaptable to, right? Maybe not necessarily this is what it is, but can they adapt to what we have? And so we're going to be obviously listening along the way there as well. One of the things that we realized is about 25% of our kids, when they graduate and get 3 or 4 years outside of high school, do not have a pathway that they're leading towards. Those are our kids, and we have to change that. And that's one of our goals. I think one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at it really, and our eyes have been open to it recently, like a 3-pronged approach. What are the skills that we can provide students that will allow them to go out and immediately gain employment? What is it that our local community and industry is looking for? And then a pathway if they choose to go get additional credentialing through a trade school, a 2-year university, a 2-year college, something like that, and then a pathway if they choose, what may be a more traditional college career. So I think the other thing we have to do is we have to add value and allow our community of industry to see that we want to provide them with the workforce. And that starts very, very slow. I know in the case that I was speaking about earlier, a conversation started about 7 or 8 years ago. We have what I would consider to be our first successful apprentice. And we have 5,000 students. But we're talking about a second one this morning. And so I think we are in the process of building those relationships as well. So working together, obviously our relationship with SWIC and quite frankly, Stubblefield and Lee Reese with workforce development has really allowed us to gain the insight that we need in order to make the programming and the ideas and the facility come to life in a fashion that is going to be useful. It's one thing if it looks really nice on the shelf, but it also has to be applicable and has to provide our community with what they need. That's it. Questions for me? Comments for me? Yes, ma'am.
About how many students do you have enrolled in workforce development? How many students are going to be attending that additional facility?
So from a curriculum standpoint, it's going to be for juniors and seniors. It's going to be designed based on a 3 or 4 hour program day. So their junior year, they will attend school a half a day and their traditional high school, and then the second half of the day. And then for seniors, our goal is at the Career Tech Ed Center for half day and then out apprenticeship, internship, work experience there. I'm anticipating in year one, it'll be around 200 students. We'd like to be somewhere between 400 and 500 by the time it's fully operational. Yes, ma'am.
So, if some of the companies in the area want to partner with you now and provide information sessions, maybe get into the classroom with our current employees that can help your students understand how it translates, are you open? to
We are. So, lucky for me, unlucky for her, Randy Quinn, who's next, is one of those people that we gobbled up about 3 or 4 years ago. One of the things we realized was we had to go out and find people who could help us along the way. We didn't have all those skills, and Mandy does. And Mandy's works with all of the businesses that we have relationships with and industry that we have relationships with. And then she can go back to our educators in the building and say, hey, so-and-so is looking for this. Do you have a kid that might need that need, or would like to come in and expose our kids to things? So yes, absolutely. Other questions for me? Yes.
Have you guys all had discussions yet, or what the plan is for trying to overcome some of the barriers to youth apprenticeship that exist? I mean, liability insurance is often an issue with manufacturers, transportation issues, the fact that the schedule is kind of compressed to try to meet some of the DOL.
Great question. Great question. So our district will be providing liability policies for the local manufacturing industry. This is something that we learned from North Tech and South Tech. They provide that, and they can do that in a way that's fairly financially efficient for the district and probably provides the manufacturing industry community the protection that they need. Transportation is an issue for our students in many cases. And, you know, I think one of the things that we have done from a trades exposure standpoint to our curriculum, we run our own transportation services, which affords us a ton of flexibility. And so we won't be able to solve every problem, but we've got ways to transport students from 2 or 3 to 55 at a time. And so we're going to leverage that as much as we can, because we understand that, you know, specifically in our community and really with many of our students, that could be a potential problem. That's not an easy one to solve, but that's one that I think we have the tools to at least try and address along the way. Great question too. From a you know, an hours and a time compression standpoint, one of the good things the state of Illinois has done for high schools is they have increased the amount of flexibility that we have within the schedule. There are kids that will decide when they're freshmen and sophomores that they want to be a part of the trades. We will also be prepared for kids that are juniors and seniors and have a change of heart or would like to get exposure at that point. Our curriculum at this point is flexible enough for this group of kids that we can do a lot of those things that they need to require graduation credentials in a condensed period of time. We can do it in an alternative format. We can do some things remotely today that we couldn't do 2 years ago. There are some positives to that. So a student could be dual enrolled, at a local junior college, could be dual enrolled through the school and the trades program as well. Any questions? Mandy, anything I forgot? He's the expert.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yep.
You mentioned that one of your curriculum focus is going to be on welding. For a long period of time, there's been a significant shortage of welders. Are you going to have the available qualified personnel and welders to conduct that program?
We do right now. We do right now. What we've had to do is we've had to, honestly, the other good thing that's happened in education recently is you can take somebody who is industry credentialed and get them a teacher certificate. Our newest welding instructor was in the field 2 years ago. I watched him coach my kid in baseball and said, this guy would be a good teacher. And he is. And here's what's happened. We started with, I don't know, 12 advanced welders in his program. We're probably nearing 30 or 40 in 2 years. That's the other issue that you have, right? Is you have to find instructors that want to and understand how to engage kids, because there are some, innate barriers to where we are. And so we've done that with automotive. We've done that with carpentry construction. We've done that with automotive. And then the other thing we've done specifically with welding is we took a huge step back and figured out, okay, at the end of their journey, what kind of credentialing do we want our students to have? Because as I said, that was where our kids were most dangerous, was in our welding program, because we weren't really getting them anywhere that could make them useful. So yeah, that has been, so far, welding has been kind of our pilot program that we reconstructed the curriculum and feel like we are beginning to be prepared to help our business community with that.
What percentage of your district is currently in this, and what do you expect in the future, that percentage?
We're shooting for 10%.
That's what your goal is.
It's our goal.
And where are you now?
6. But here's what you have to have, in my opinion. You have to have, and again, I know not every educational institution can do this, but I think you have to have an investment in a curriculum and a facility that draws kids that way. They are still easily persuaded, and that's part of our job here, is to persuade them into the trades. Great question. All right, thank you guys.
All right, so our next presenter will be Manuf, LWIA, Counselor for Career Technical Education.
Morning, everyone. Now that we engaged, my boss is sitting back there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our work-based learning initiatives that we've been doing in the last 3 years. About 3 years ago, we were approached by TerraSource to do some pre-apprenticeship welding positions, and we thought, let's go for it. We've got a couple of good welders. Let's give them some welders that do it really, really well. From that model, we have kind of pushed forward to today, where we have 14 pre-apprenticeships to 8 different businesses. So they're going from manufacturing, welding, construction, automotive, all of those businesses. That's where our kids are placed. The impetus for this work-based learning, as you heard Dr. Windsor say, the demand for skilled work, you guys know all that. The lack of alignment that we were talking about between the curriculum and what industry needed. And then we really wanted to help kids gain skills and experience that would get them those now credentials, like where they can have a pathway for their future. We also wanted to be responsive in our partnerships with the community. So that's kind of where that all came from. Today, our students are screened. They are introduced, and we'll talk about that. You had a great question. They're introduced to different careers, and that's my job to introduce them to those. They're screened, they're nominated by their industrial ed teachers. They're supported. They have the students that go into the internships or the apprenticeships go into that with 3 people supporting them beyond what they get at the location where they're stationed. They have an industrial ed teacher. They are required to take that next advanced level class. So if they're a welding apprentice, they have to take the advanced welding class. And if they are a machining student, then we'll do the advanced machining class. So they're just going to keep going. They're always going to have that industrial ed support Then they have me. I'm a career and technical education counselor. I am there to kind of help them bridge that gap, figure out how to make that transition, figure out how that translates into their career pathway. And then they also have what we call a co-op teacher, which is basically someone that's helping them with those soft skills, those things that they need to be successful in the workplace. So those three things are happening with our apprenticeship students. It's pretty intense to model, but we feel like it's really important for them to have that support. They are also required to keep their GPA up while they're in this program. So some programs require that they have above a 2.0 GPA. Some people are right at 2.0, but we are monitoring that monthly to make sure that their grades are slipping. Because honestly, some of these kids really like being in the workplace. They're doing really well in the workplace, but then they're checked out at school. We don't want that. So we want those things to go hand in hand. We don't want them not to graduate. We have found in the past 3 years, the best model is a win-win for companies and for our students. We have a couple of companies that offer, $1,000 an hour for our students, which doesn't really work because they're competing with fast food restaurants, paying them $16 an hour. So we have to talk with our students about the trade-off because they're getting experience, but then we also have to talk with our companies about trying to be competitive. So we're kind of trying to find that balance right now. The best programs will have a mentor model. They will be working one-on-one with students or in a small group of students, making sure that they are getting the support that they need. So they're not just a warm body in the room. They are someone is assigned to them to make sure that they are learning, that they're not expected to know everything on day one. A mentorship model is very important. And it's true on the job training. We're not going to, again, expect them to be master welders. And if that's what our companies are looking for, they have to look for those SWIFT graduates. That's where they're going to find those. The communication has to go back and forth between our school and the company. We need to know what's going right, what's not going right. We need to make sure that it still remains a win-win. Okay? The evaluations are collaborative, so we are working with the businesses to make sure that the students have what they need. So we can get that feedback and make sure that if there are skills that they're lacking, we are working with them. We have one student who can't get out of bed in the morning. And so we are contemplating calling him at 7 o'clock in the morning to make sure he's out of bed. But there are supports like that because we want our students to succeed. And again, not just another body. We've had a couple of construction companies think we got cheap labor here. That didn't work out very well for them because those students couldn't keep up. They didn't stay long. It wasn't what they were looking for. Okay. We have several. We were saying, how do we get in to see the students? How do the students know we exist? What I've been doing for students basically to make sure obviously that recruitment piece is really important. We need to know, the students need to know what's out there. And we know that for a really, really long time, our students thought that they had to go to high school and they had to go to college. And that's not true for everyone. We want to make sure that they know that there are pathways out there in manufacturing and construction and in welding, that they can go out and get some education on the job and then go to SWIFT and get some certifications, and they have a really good job. So we are bringing in companies to talk about their jobs, their pathways, what they can do. We have Worldwide Technologies coming in next month. We have, or actually at the end of the month, we have people come in all the time to talk to our students about different pathways. And so I'm that person. If you want to talk to me afterwards, I'm happy to give you some contact information. We also are looking for job shadowing experiences for our students. We think those are really important. We had students do job shadows with Cheller, School and Die, and they got some really good candidates because of those job shadows. So that's a really good way to kind of interest our students. Internships, so smaller chunks instead of a very big commitment for our students. If you've got something for the summer that you want to do with students, we can arrange those as well. So I've got some opportunities here. I will leave this for you. I also have a really nice outline of our apprenticeship programs. It's got little QR codes in the back where you can kind of click on those and get to a survey. And then my contact information is there as well. So, questions?
We're in Jerseyville and we're just starting to develop our programs. Do you have, I'm curious about your background. Do you have a degree in, as a guidance counselor, or I'm just curious?
Yes, so I have a master's degree in school counseling. Yes. I worked for SWIC for 15 years. I worked as a home credit coordinator for a while. So yeah.
Can we call you?
And you can't afford her.
Wow. All right, what else? You guys are making my day. Yes.
The internships that we talk about, like someone, are they paid?
Yes. So, and they don't have to be, but I think you're gonna entice more students than being paid, yes.
Can you tell me some more about the shadow?
So this has been a big big shift. There are a lot of companies that say, I don't want less than 18-year-olds on my floor because I'm worried about the liability. So shadowing could be just for a day where they're walking through, it could be a week. It could be something that you arrange during the summer or during the school year. But basically it's meant to kind of expose that student to those career fields and put them with your best welder, put them with your best engineer, and have them walk around for the day and ask them, have them ask questions. So I kind of give them a cheat sheet and say, these are the questions that you need to ask. So they're prepared with those questions ahead of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your geographic reach? You have a radius that you're going to?
That's a great question. So we've been trying to stay close to home because we are asking them to go half a day to go to school and then drive. And so that's a lot of gas for students who are pretty broke. So I don't know, it would depend on the students, but we're trying to stay pretty close to our Belleville area. Really good companies that you're going to hear from later. I think they're going to talk about the experiences with our students. We're really proud of them. Well, don't forget to pick these up and then talk to me afterwards. Thank you.
Sorry, and I was a little bit late. I was on a Zoom meeting and driving here, so I'm apologize. I wasn't directly started. But I'm happy to be here. I will stay as long as I can before I have to get to my next thing, which is about the back to business grants and making sure that companies are taking advantage of those. So that's on topic and finally important. So this is the kind of stuff that I get really excited about. I'm the chair of the higher ed committee on the House and serve on the K-12 education committees. I've been a high school teacher and a middle school teacher, and we've got to start undoing that. I don't know the best way to phrase it, but to me, kind of it's a lie we've been telling kids that for the last 20 years that you have to go high school, college, it's the only pathway, it's the only thing viable, and make all of it. So we've kind of decimated programs like this, and now it's exciting to see them getting built back. And it's great to see that we're taking that step of going first to the businesses to say, what is it that you need out of these programs? And then making sure the programs are going to match the students to those needs. So I'm excited to see Belleville get to that 10% goal. I feel like we're going to get there and probably surpass it because I think the interest will be there. This brings me back my grandfather. Now, it was my grandfather, so he was older. It was a different time, but his phrase was always, a man needs a profession or a trade. We we always try to get them, we go, Bob, well, you gotta change, you gotta say a person needs a professional training. But it really was this whole thing of, you know, sure, we need doctors and we need lawyers, but we need electricians, we need welders, we need all of those things, and they're all important, and they all keep our world going. So making sure that we're bringing that, anything that I can do to help support, I know that in some places we struggle with the instructors at the high school level, those alternative certifications I know are really important. Anything that you need from a legislative point of view, please never hesitate to reach out to my office for that support to help these things grow. And, you know, I want to see every high school be able to put out presentations like this and showing the friendships we're growing and all of that. So thank you for letting me be here, and I'm looking forward to hearing the rest.
So some good news on for the employers, Illinois recently changed the way they approach teaching. So now they will allow the on-the-job training part of teaching certificate to be paid. And so that has opened the doors now for registered apprenticeships for teachers. And so we've engaged with SIUE and some of our partners to start that conversation. So we should be doing some things going forward. I want to take a few minutes. We have 4 basically, I would say non-stereotypical manufacturers that can present towards the end of our program. And so the Department of Commerce and Health opportunity for the technical thank those 4 presenters. And so they're trying to do them for proclamation.
So, well, I don't think that's one. So, we're just gonna get it going.
Okay, for Gilson, Mary, and Tom. Come on up.
And let's go around with applause. Thank you. Thanks for all the work.
Next up would be Mac Medical. Next would be Terrasource Global. Waterfall Blue Sun.
Thank you. Hey, Lee, could we maybe get all 4 of those back up with Jonathan and Tracy A? And get a group picture?
You gotta get it
Perfect. Thank you all.
We were missing, but didn't stop for a moment to thank Mitch Bear, City Administrator of Collinsville, and Tim Seberg, the General Manager of this facility. I'd like to take a moment to thank Tim for being a partner. Our next presentation will be by Southwestern Illinois Community College. They're going to present on their new advanced manufacturing facility.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Mark Bosworth. I'm the Industrial Technology Coordinator. And what exciting times. Just a little history. I graduated from Bell way back when, and from the Navy to the machining program. It's just exciting to see that they're growing and bringing back machining with all the steps that I went to. So I'm very excited about that and willing to help them anybody. So, we just want to talk a little bit about our manufacturing program that we offer at SWIC, and then get into the new advanced manufacturing academy that we're designing and building. So first thing, these are our manufacturing programs that we offer. I just want to kind of go over them so everybody understands what we what we do is we train our students. So, commercial maintenance, industrial electricity, industrial maintenance, precision machining and welding. So we offer these at both at Grand City and fellow campus, and I'm kind of over that also. So the first one is the commercial maintenance mechanic. You can kind of see these programs are designed to train maintenance people to whatever facility they go to. So in this program, they get a little bit of manual machining and a little bit of electrical, and it's really focused on heating and emission ventilation. So a lot of different companies can hire these students to maintain their facilities. So whether it's a hotel, hospital, school district, stuff like that, that would be what this degree would be used for. So very, a lot of students get into this, so it's a good program for that. The industrial electricity program, this is one of our probably larger programs. We offer the more advanced electrical stuff at Grand City campus, and then our Belleville campus, we have some of the basic electricity also. But you can see the wiring principles, practices, national electric code, motor control, PLCs, robots, and instrumentation. We invested a lot in our instrumentation training. We're actually in the process of getting them finished, and they will be at the campus hopefully in the spring semester. The PLC, we have a basic PLC classroom and advanced PLC that a lot of companies are utilizing for their training of their employees. Anheuser-Busch has been there before the pandemic hit for week-long training, so they have like a North America zone, so they can ship put their electricians there to the St. Louis region and train on their systems. They donated a large bottling line, conveyor system in there. So it's got the latest and greatest technology for the PLC programming for running a manufacturing plant. We're getting more involved in the robots and a lot of different programs also. So we've invested a lot of that. Industrial maintenance, and I can probably say this is one of the probably largest calls that I get, probably 2 or 3 a week for our students. So again, this has got a variety of different segments in there, the machining, mechanical systems, pipe fitting, all that. So I always call this program kind of like a jack of all trades. Very well sought after for these employers. The problem we have with this degree is when we go to recruit at schools, a lot of students don't know what industrial maintenance means. When you ask students that, they're like, they just clean up stuff and clean windows and stuff like that. It's nothing like that, of course. They're learning a lot of different things. They become proficient in a lot of this, but not at the journeyman level, but they're there to get that plant running, or get that machine running, or whatever, to get that back in production. So, but also this is probably the top program that we're doing a lot of training for companies in the area, and also a lot of testing. So we're doing U.S. Steel training in this, Alton Steel, Eastern Chemical, just to name a few, Perry State Energy, that we're doing some training. So either they're coming to SWIFT for a week to do the training, or they're sending potential employees that we test them to make sure that they meet their interest requirements also. So a very attractive degree, a lot of great opportunities for students. And then precision machining, again, one of the 2 or 3 calls a week usually. There's just a very high demand for the machinists right now. They get from basic old manual machining that what you call earlier dark, dingy, nasty job. It's nothing like that anymore. It's air conditioned, nice, clean environment. We have more, CNC programming set up, CAD/CAM. So we're teaching our students the basic stuff all the way up to the higher level, higher tech jobs also. And that's, I think we're probably in the top 10 in the nation right now in the machining program. So it's really grown over the last 10 to 15 years. And then the welding, of course, that welding, this one we offered at the Belleville campus, the Grand City campus, also the East St. Louis campus. And it had all the different processes related to the art, pipe welding. They do some classes in the testing of the welds, and then also the advanced welding automation. So the advanced welding automation just recently at our Grand City campus, but that soon will be offered at the campus too. So, everybody, this is a very easy program to recruit. All the high schools have it, so it's one of the probably the largest programs that we have. So just to kind of like brag on some of our students, I don't know if everybody's familiar with Skills USA, or used to be called VICA for the old timers here. But we had 5 students compete this year, and we won 3rd place in the nation in automated manufacturing, which is a team event where we had a CAD designer, a CAD programmer, and an operator. We had a bronze medal in CNC milling and a bronze medal in CNC technician. And, you know, this is, you know, helps us build this program, really put a stamp on it, to make sure that we're doing the right things. And like I said, we compete nationally with this Skills USA. And the last thing that we've won 13 national medals in the past 10 years. And it's the most medals in the machining contest. So we compete in 4 different machining contests, but it's the most medals by any post-secondary education. So it's just a really good testament, and it's a great resume builder for our students also. So it's pretty exciting to see them students compete and win. So we continue to do this all the time. So then the other thing that we just did this year is the Project MFG. Why I put this on there is kind of unique because the Department of Defense realized that not enough of the younger generation is getting into what we call 5-axis machining and welding and all that. So they wanted to develop a contest to promote this. So we actually learned about this at a Skills USA contest in Louisville a couple of years ago. And we said, yes, we want to be involved with this. So our team, we had 3 students. We had a welder / CNC programmer, a CNC programmer also, and then an operator. And we competed in 2019. We won a regional down in Virginia. Then the pandemic hit, so it was kind of postponed for a year, but then they came to our facility in Grand City to do the next regional. And we got 2nd place in that one, which qualified us to be in the top 4 in the nation. And then we competed in this past March, and we won 2nd place in the nation for this project MFG. So, you know, really, you know, when the Department of Defense is sponsoring an event like that, we want to be involved. We want our students to be involved. We want SWIC to be involved, just so they know the notoriety, the marketing for our program. And so really help our students, again, resume. So again, this very exciting times for this region with the new building for Belleville 201. But also, you know, as stated earlier, you know, we received a grant also from the state of Illinois. We're going to be building a brand new campus at our Belleville campus. You know, state, college, and industry investments. But the 4 focus areas of this new building will be precision machining, the electrical automation, and then robotics. So that's what our focus is. And you know, when we applied for this grant, we wanted to focus to make sure that we were getting a higher tech. We feel that, you know, especially like in the machining area, we want our students to be manual machinists, programmers for CNC, programmers for robots, make anything they need to make that robot function and build a whole cell. So that was our focus for our building and our grant. So pretty unique times right now. So this is kind of we just got this drawing Friday, I believe it was. So this is really the first picture we've seen from the architect of what our building's going to look like. So the main part there is going to be about 15,000 square foot lab. And then the other one will be computer lab. We'll have a 3D printing, prototyping lab in there, an inspection lab. So it's we hopefully will be breaking ground this fall sometime. So hopefully by fall of 2023, that will be open. And to get this grant, we developed some advanced certificates that I think help us secure this grant. We just developed these courses. So there was really nowhere in this region to get tool and die mold making training. So talking to Cellar, talking to some of the tool and die mold making shops around this region, they said, you know, nobody teaches that. So We want our students to still do the basic 2-year associate's degree, but then hopefully go on to the advanced certificates in these areas here. So the tool and die mold making is one, the advanced machining automation, again, going back to team up a robot to a machine, for the past years, we've been hearing, we need machinists, we need maintenance guys, we need all that. So, companies are gonna go to more automation, so we want to do that with our students to program robots, to set up a whole cell, to do all that. And then the advanced multi-axis programming, again, if you look at that project MFT, we're getting into, old ways with just 3-axis machining, but now we're getting into multi-axis machining. If a company is buying a CNC machine, most likely they're going to be a multi-axis machine. So we want to make sure our students are trained to do that programming. With Boeing being across the river, we have, a lot of machine shops are producing parts for Boeing or different aircraft manufacturers, and they're demanding this 5-axis programming. So that's why we're really going to focus on that. And then the last one is the 3D printing and design. Again, just for the prototyping stuff and different types of 3D printing. So just to kind of give you the tool and die, with the new building, we developed 2 new courses. We're going to put our own little punch press in there for the tool and die, wire EDM, radio on drill presses, going to go around. Some new technology that we currently do not have, but with this grant will allow us to do that. So that's why we did that. And then mold making, again, 2 new courses. We'll have a plastic injection mold so our students will be able to take a product that they design and actually produce that in a plastic injection mold. And that's the goal, just to help companies in this region. The advanced machine automation, again, 2 new courses. We've already got a couple of universal robots that we're putting in our curriculum already. We also use Spanish robots and air devices. So again, machine tending, have our students actually set up a whole cell to make parts. And that's, going to be very good for our students and the companies around this area. And in the multi-axis, again, you can kind of see that front there is a very advanced part. But that's where the industry is going. Before, companies just had a 3-axis mill. That product might take 3 or 4 operations. With multi-axis, they can do it in 1 operation and get done. So we want our students to be very efficient in programming these machines and use the software that they'll see in industry. So we are hopefully planning to partner up with some of the software and companies around the country here to make sure that we get them the right software for our students. And then the last one is the 3D metal printing and design. So this is some 1-year course plus some existing courses that the students will be able to get a certificate. The big thing now is the metal 3D printing. So we'll be having 2 of them 3D metal printers and a couple of different types of plastic 3D printings that are available. Again, students will be able to design the stuff, make the parts in the printers. Maybe they'll have to have secondary operation on it, or machining or whatever. That will be the focus of the 3D printing / rapid prototyping type certificate. So that's it for me for now. Any questions about the U Academy or any programming or anything like that? About the college that answered? Yes.
Is there any way that copy of the presentation?
Sure. I'll give you my contact when we go outside. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
How do you recruit students for your program? How do they learn about what you have to offer?
So our program, we usually teach 4 days a week. We're off we don't have students on Friday, so we go out to high school. Again, I'm coming up at home class here in a couple of weeks, I think. But yeah, like last Friday, we were at Marissa. So Marissa High School, they have FFA, that was it. So we talk to them students there to expose them to machining and program. But that's what we do. Mainly our Friday is our recruiting day. Also, we can do Monday through Thursday too if our schedule allows. But we just go out and talk to the students. Now we got the big manufacturing trailer. We can bring that out to them to introduce them to the CNCs. So That's our goal, is to help, our first goal is our students at SWIC, and then our second is to help high schools, and help their programs. We donated, for the machining program, probably over 30 pieces of equipment to local high schools. So once we get a new piece of equipment on, we don't get rid of it, we don't trade it in, we donate it to high schools. So we try to help as much as we can. Material, software, people. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, so for those of you that are interested in looking at that new trailer, that's our next project. We're going to take about it's a 30-40 minute break. So let you guys go out and tour the new advanced manufacturing mobile skills lab that Swick has to offer. And we will return here at 10:45 back in here to start our next presentation.
So the trailer that's up front, we have got a workforce that we back in the state of Illinois. And basically, we built that trailer to take it to schools that do not have a machining program or manufacturing stuff. So we built that with the help of the state of Illinois, and we take that, like I said, in RISA. So we currently have 4 vertical mills, 2 CNC lathes. We have 2 robots that we just purchased, and we're going to implement them into the trailer. We just decided, really yesterday, we have an inspection arm that we're going to put in that trailer also. So it's really helping the recruiting process. So I know we're going out to Bookerville on Friday. We can utilize this trailer, of course, for the high schools that do not have a program, but also help the dual credit courses that we offer at high school. So maybe like Belleville West had only 1 CNC machine there. So now we can take that trailer there to help them students get all their projects done, to introduce them to the CNCs and also the CNC lathes. And then our second thing would be to, our third thing would be to do open houses and stuff for companies around the local area. We've had it at, we're taking it to Hyderman over in St. Louis on Saturday. They have a family open house, so we're going to take it there and hopefully, the family bring their kids and help the group and get them to switch. So that's our goal for that trailer. So, take the time and we'll show you how the machine runs.
And for those of you on Zoom, if you want to just take a break, we're going to mute the screen, and then you will be able to see us return at 10:45. Those of you that are interested in going out and see the trailer, March will take care of you. It's right outside the first entrance. Return at 10:45. All right, we're going to go ahead and get back started. So our next presentation is going to be from Honor. Okay, he is the lead engineer with the St. Louis University Center for Additive Manufacturing. I think you will find this presentation absolutely engaged.
How's everybody doing today? My name is Alvin. I'll be presenting a little bit initially on additive manufacturing at SLU in our Center for Additive Manufacturing, and then I'll kind of get into more of how industry using it currently. So I have a couple of videos at the end that you guys might find interesting. Okay, so yeah, SLU CAM was started with a research grant from the university. We're currently in the ISE building. I don't know if you guys have been to SLU or been down there, but I know a couple of people on the list that are actually going to present later that we actually work and have some services with them. But so we have a 1,000 square foot facility. We have 4 industrial grade 3D printers and 2 hobby grade printers. And then we also have some in-house post processing. So basically cleaning tanks. So when the part comes out of the machine, we make sure that it's clean and any residual, any resins or anything like that would be removed from the actual part. And then we also have a couple of laser cutters and high and 3D scanners. And then we also offer CAD experience. This is what mainly our students do. So once we have a project that comes in, whether it be an outside project or within the university, the students would be the first ones to go ahead and do some of the CAD work for that project. They also run our 3D printers as well and get them experience in our 3D scanners. This is the current team we have. So the first three were actually co-founders of the department or the Center of Manufacturing, and that's me at the end. We all have our different strengths. So if you're looking something more of biomedical, the first two individuals, Andy Hall and Scott Sell, would be a good point of contact. And then Scott Martin within chemistry, and then me, I have a mechanical engineer background. So this is our center. Like I said in the previous slide, we have 4 industrial size printers. So on the right, they're FDM printers. So they're more extrusion based with filament that are coiled up. And then in the back, we have 2 poly jet printers, which I'll talk to a little bit more later. Our post processing is usually in this location, which is more of a lab setting. So we have to keep the door closed, and we have all the safety and precautions for that area. And if you ever walk in and it's empty, I'm probably in the back corner over there. That's my office. So don't ever think it's empty. Just go ahead back there and knock. So here is an overview of all the additive manufacturing technologies that are available today in industry. For us specifically, within SLU CAM, we focus on SLA. That's one of the capabilities that we have. So this is the original side for 3D printing. It's utilizing resin, which I'll talk to a little bit. On the next slide, we have a couple of FDM printers. And then we also have polyjet printers. So these are the 3 categories that we focus on in our department, but we're trying to move into more of metals as well. That's just highlighting the 3. Okay, so these are the 3 I kind of talked to. So they're a little bit different. So the SLA printer uses a resin. It starts off building on the stage, and the stage is going to be completely submerged within the resin. And then it builds it layer by layer. So that's basically why it's called additive manufacturing, because you add layer by layer until you get your final product. Opposed to something like subtractive, or what you see currently in the industry, where you start off with a block and then you kind of mill it down or use whatever technology you want. So we start off with the stage completely submerged within the resin, and it gets cured layer by layer until you get the final product. So the next one is the FDM, which is kind of the 2 printers that you saw on the right side of the image. Those are use a filament foil, and they get extruded through a nozzle, and then they go layer by layer that way. So this is more of a filament, this is a resin, and the last one is polyjet, which uses an ink and UV light, which cures the part layer by layer again. So now I'm just going to step in and kind of cover some of the printers we have. So if you find it interesting or kind of think you might want to teach your students about it, or you want to use it for your company, so you kind of have some background knowledge and kind of what materials we use and what it's good for. So this is a Fortis 250, and then we also have a 450, which is on the next slide. So they're relatively the same. They just use a little bit of different material. This one only uses ABS material, and it's good for rapid, low-cost prototyping. So that's the main machine we use when we want to give somebody a quick prototype. A lot of the students from Capstone use this one. So if they have senior projects at Capstone, they usually want to use this one because they're on a tight budget, right? And then they can do a lot of prototypes at the same time, and then they would get a cheap, I guess, cost to that as well. So this is a 450. They're basically the same family, just a bigger version. This one also takes ABS material, but we also instrument it with ASA, nylon, polycarbonate, and Ulta material. This one's just like the other one, ABS. They also are good for rapid prototyping, but also high-tech applications. So it is a plastic. We do have some hobby-grade printers that use PLA, which could actually, if it's a hot day and you left it in your car, it would melt a little bit and warp. So if you have some application where it might be exposed to some temperatures, you would probably want to use this one or the 250 instead of some of the hobby-grade printers that we have in the department. These are just some examples of what the 2 printers can do. So this one, we actually, the top one is kind of interesting. So during COVID, we wanted to figure out a way to design masks for individuals that they could kind of reuse. But that was actually 3D printed on one of our machines, and we 3D scanned the individual's face. So it's a kind of a patient-specific type application where we scan their face, and we developed a mask that would fit like watertight around their face. And then we did some tests, and it worked better than some of the masks that you find at like a Walmart or something like that. So we 3D scanned the individual's face and then ended up 3D printing it for them, and that turned out pretty well. And then we have, this also is another interesting application that 3D printing could use. So basically, post-processing and like assembly of parts. So you could eliminate that completely with 3D printing. That was actually printed all at once. So there's no post-processing or like assembly to it. So basically these balls can rotate, and it's almost like a kind of like a gear, is kind of what it looks like. So it was all built in one go. So this is a PolyJet printer. This one's kind of important to us currently. We have a couple of BME students that like to use it because we have medical grade material in it. So basically they use this to do some of their, I guess, they do some designs for that could be implanted in using this machine. Also, they use this machine a lot of the time in dentistry and Invisalign and stuff like that. These are the type of machines they would actually use for that. Yeah. This one is my favorite machine, mainly because we have, I guess, wide variety of colors and options and material. So the other ones are usually a single color that you would have to change out. This one we could actually do multiple colors at once and multiple materials. So we have a rubber-like material that we could build in this, which is called Agilus. And then the Vera material is more like a hard plastic. So you get a lot of different options with this PolyJet printer. And these are just some examples that we could do. So this is kind of medical grade material that we use in the far right machine. And then we could also do textures, which I forgot to mention on the PolyJet, the second one, which is the bigger version. And then also the different colors and types of materials. So the more rubbery like materials on the far left, and then the solid materials on the far right. So how can we help? So this is how we usually help the students, I guess, on campus and even companies that come from outside. Whether your, I guess, knowledge of 3D printing is very basic, or you might not know anything at all, right? We offer CAD design from the beginning, so if you just have an idea, you come in and you basically just have the idea on a piece of paper. We can go ahead and design it for you using CAD, and then all the way to actually we could teach students. So we have classes for in the dorms for freshman students where we teach them how to use the printers, and then later they can come in and use the printers by themselves. And we usually start them off with those hobby grade printers that are the easiest to use and pretty cheap material. So that's what we start off the students with. But yeah, no matter what your range of knowledge is, we can teach you. And then this is kind of, I wanted to cover how industry is using it. So I have a couple of videos. This is how Bugatti makes their calipers. Yeah, I gotta see first. This is a metal 3D printer. It's an SLM500. I actually work in the industry with this machine. So yeah, so industry is moving more towards the metal prototyping use of it. And then Bugatti uses this. As you can tell, this is kind of a weird shape and design. So that's called topology optimization. So what they do with that is in CAD, they optimize the design to either like eliminate weight or kind of get a more organic structure to it. And that's something only 3D printing can do. You cannot really use, I guess, machine this out of a brick. It would be extremely difficult, while in 3D printing, This is actually extremely easy to print if you have the CAD file.
Once you do that, all the time.
Well, yeah, so I had a video here for the Bugatti and then also about Boeing as well, how Boeing used it here in St. Louis. But, yeah, those are the last two things I had.
Sorry, you know that it will go wrong.
Does anyone have any questions? I guess maybe we can figure out.
Yeah, I'm gonna send these PowerPoints to you and then we'll have the links to the video.
No questions.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm the high school guidance counselor for Madison School District 12, and I would like to know if you all would be able to come out to my school and do a presentation for my schools and things.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll give you my contact information, and then you can just email our center, and then, yeah, we'll definitely stop by. Like I said, we do that for a lot of high schools. We have one coming in actually next week, where they actually, we're gonna have them make keychains for themselves, and they get to play around with the parents. But yeah, we could definitely come down and stop by.
We talked a little bit about the metal impregnated filament that you use, how it works.
So for a metal base, so there's a couple of versions for metals. We at the center don't currently use or have any metal 3D printers. We're looking at maybe a year down the line. So, you know, they're relatively expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars a lot of the time. If you want industrial size. The video for the Bugatti, that's a powder-based machine, so it doesn't use filament. So basically, it's a powder bed where there's a laser and it lasers it in a certain design, and it lasers it, and then it recoats another layer of powder and does it all over again. It keeps building it up until you get the final product. A lot of the times, there's supports necessary, which would need to be post-processed and removed. And then, like I said, there's also a filament-based one where it's a foil again, and extrudes it through a filament, and it does it layer to layer. A lot of the times, the powder bed ones cannot do what the filament-based one could do because it's a lot. It could print a lot larger scale, right? They use them at NASA. I know a couple other rocket companies use them just because you could basically do the housing for all your material with one machine. And then, yeah, those are the two main types of metal 3D printers that industry is currently using, the filament-based one and then the powder-based one. Powder-based gives you better definition and higher fidelity, while the, like I said, the oil-based one with the filaments can give you a larger scale for manufacturing.
I've seen video of the filament 3D printer printing habitats for Mars. NASA's doing. So
yeah,
competitions for that.
Yeah,
it's just laying down tubes of material and they're just building structures with it.
Yeah, almost like a welding process is what is most, I guess, related to more of welding. So.
You ready for the video?
Yeah.
It's one for the record books. Boeing is proudly using the world's largest solid 3D printed object. It's a tool used in St. Louis in the production of Boeing's 777X, which the company says will be the largest and most efficient twin-engine jet in the world. The 777X passenger jet will have a wingspan so big, the tips have to be folded up so it can fit in airports. Composite parts of the 777X wings, such as the folding wingtips, are in production in Boeing's new St. Louis Composite Center of Excellence.
We're just looking at a small portion of the folding wingtip. There's another 5 or 6 feet of this that go on the inboard portion of it that add to that folding wingtip. For commercial aircraft, it's all about making an aircraft that's efficient, and does not burn a whole lot of fuel. How you typically do that is you give it a very long wingspan. You can't do that and get all of these aircraft and airports. So how you do that is you make a wing that's really long and then you fold it up.
The folding wingtip is getting global attention for another reason. Stealing the spotlight is the custom tool used to make this folding wingtip skin. Boeing's Mike Matlack is the wing trim and drill tools project manager.
It's the technology that I was developing.
It was his idea to have the tool made using recent achievements in 3D printing, also known as additive manufacturing.
We've used it in small tools and we're implementing it in production. However, we want to take the next leap. We want to go into large. Because we have a lot of large parts, obviously, at Boeing, and we want to see how far the technology can go. The machine that we were using down over Fish National Labs had a 20-foot bed and it was 10 foot wide. So we were looking for something that would fit that framework. So we went to the 777X team when we said we need a demonstration part for this technology. They said, here you go, 777X folding wingtip skin. We said, okay, we'll take that on.
It was done at the Department of Energy's Oak Ridge National Laboratory, saving energy, time, labor, and production costs.
One of the obstacles that we had to overcome was the pure size.
And yeah, so what we also try to communicate to our students.
So when you're looking at laying down layers.
Stop there, but basically we try to communicate to our students that, I guess, every technology has its niche. So additive manufacturing, you want to use it for specific things. You don't want to go ahead and ask me to 3D print a block, right? Where you can just use the standard manufacturing to do that. 3D printing, you want to basically use it for something like topology optimization, or if you want to reduce weight, we could do different materials that maybe you can't find today in industry. So those are the benefits of and we usually try to communicate that to our students that basically look out for those three things. Organic shapes with topology optimization, maybe lattices, and then different materials is what we usually do. But yeah, that's just the NASA one, which we play. I don't know how much time we have, but probably,
First part of it.
yeah. Yeah, that's base with loaded with metals, it's almost like what we said earlier. So it comes to the center and then it's made. You can tell these parts are a lot bigger than I guess we people watch the first video, but the outer base one, you could only get maybe I think the S1 500 is 500 or like 250 on this side versus something that's yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Does anybody have any additional questions?
You're teaching undergrad and grad students?
Yeah, so the lab was mainly developed to be run by undergrads, right? So I take in a lot of the projects and then have the students work with the 3D printers. So we give them training on all the different types of 3D printers we have there. And then they could usually go ahead and do the CAD work and also do the 3D printing as well as maintenance with the machine. So yeah, so we mainly focus on undergrads, but we do have a grad student that's currently working as well in the area.
One of the projects that we're talking with SLUCAM about is working up a train-to-trainer model for high schools. Possibly work with community college as a training instructor that can train the high school. How to use additive manufacturing in the classroom. And so we're talking to
There many sites like this
practice throughout the country that do what you do, or is this pretty?
So I mean, additive manufacturing in terms of industry is relatively new. Not a lot of companies use it for production per se yet. The machines are really expensive and it's a new technology that needs a lot of research to go into it. So a lot of the front runners like Boeing, I came from Kansas City, like the national security campus. So a lot of those companies, bigger companies have the capabilities to do so and they do their own research. A lot of smaller companies don't have those capabilities. So us at SLU, we kind of want to give them that opportunity to prototype, right? If they have anything that they would like to prototype or do anything quickly, they can come to us and we would be open to doing this sort of job like that for them.
So as an educational institution, it doesn't happen very often throughout the country, what you guys do.
No, not too often, not right now.
And so one of the things that I thought out of their presentation, I attended a different one, a different meeting, is during COVID, they had a teacher that had I think it was a bird skull or something they taught the classroom with, and it was very expensive. And so she needed this part to go to each of the students, but because of COVID, they couldn't transfer the part. So what they did is they brought it to SLU and they scanned it, and I think they ran it for like $2.50 a piece. And so each kid was able to have one at home. And so my thinking is that if we can get to the high school to develop that technology, they can make their own rulers, they can make their own code hangers, and then the job shop also will teach the kids how to take the rulers and turn it into an entrepreneur. So there's a lot of opportunity there with this type of technology. So next up is Tom Welby with Gilster Mary Lee. He's the head man in charge. He's going to give you a little bit of overview on Gilster Mary Lee.
Not fair, I'm showing this right before lunch. I realize, but I'll have your attention. So thanks for having us, and we'll just jump right in. So we are a private label food manufacturing company. We are headquartered down in Chester, Illinois. Today we have 12 plants, about 3,000 employees. We make about 7,500 different SKUs, and we make about 500 different brands. So we don't sell our brands, but we'll make Schnucks brand or IGA or Great Value, things you probably have in your own home. So we are a very long-standing company. We're 126 years old in August of this year. I'm not going to read this to you. Maybe we'll just skip to the next slide if you don't mind. We have a lot of technologies in the business. So when I talk to grade school classes, I always say, what's the biggest industry in the world, right? And it's not computers and it's not automotives, it's food, right? It touches the most people, it's the biggest impact in its employment and its total dollars into our economy. So we do a lot of different things. We do dry blending, wet processing, extrusion, flaking, coating, drying, and packaging. Putting all this food that we make into different size packaging is a big deal, a big part of our business. We even make our own boxes. We even make our own cardboard. So we have a lot of technologies within the business. Something that Lee and his team have worked with us on is transportation. We have about 325 road tractors, about 800 trailers. We don't have 325 drivers right now, right? That's a big challenge, the transportation shortage. We use that fleet to deliver our products and also pick up our raw materials and our packaging coming back into our facilities. This is kind of where we lie. So we have 4 plants in Randolph County, just south of here. Right across the river in Perryville, Missouri, Perry County, we have 4 other plants. We have a couple of plants in southwest Missouri. We have a plant where we make our cardboard in Centralia. And then up near Kankakee, small town of Lemons, we have a plant that makes cocoa products. And our model is we make all these different products, right? And then we combine, ship them into one truckload that our customers can buy, because the grocery industry is about turning your inventory frequently. They don't make a lot of money on each sale, so they want to keep their inventory turning. This is a real basic overview of all the different products we make. As you might guess, with these kind of products, we were very, very busy during COVID. This is like Comfort Food Central, and it was a real challenge for us. Our business is split up about 80% in retail products like you find in the grocery store, food service. So we do nursing homes, schools, those kind of feeding programs. One of the kind of interesting stories is we make all the coating for Chick-fil-A. We started with them when they had 1 store.
So it's been a tremendous relationship. I always tell people that because I want you to buy the fry when you go to Chick-fil-A and not the grill, because the grill does us no good at all. Sustainability, I think all of us that are running businesses, you're pushing yourself on your sustainability efforts, and your customers want to know about your sustainability efforts. And Cameron is here, or was here, working with them in partnership to do their Act on Energy programs has been a big benefit to us as well. If you're a manufacturer and you're not involved in that, I would encourage you to look into that. So these are kind of our challenges as we go ahead, but specifically in the area of employment. So I said we have about 3,000 employees. We have about 400 openings across our whole business right now. And we're kind of taking an all of the above approach. Certainly a lot of those 400 jobs are entry level positions, not a tremendous amount of skill. One thing we're doing to address those entry level issues is we are working with a organization called Autism Workforce that is bringing autistic individuals into our facilities, and we've undertaken about a year of it so far. A lot of training and investment, not so much training the potential employee, but training our staff on how to work with the autistic individuals and make them successful. And we have a team of 6 of those in one plant right now. They are fantastic employees. Employers out there, I would encourage you to look into something like that if you're not aware of it. And the partnerships with the schools, I think, can be developed more in that area too. And then on the high end, we are working on apprenticeships in diesel mechanics, in facilities maintenance. Robotics and automation is a big emphasis of our business. Food processing has a lot of people in it, always does. And so I think that's a big challenge for our segment of the economy, is to work in automation. Where does it make sense? Where does it not make sense? And we need those type of employees that can support that technology. We deployed our first fleet of automatic robotic forklifts and pallet movers. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have thought we would be moving that fast on that, but we are, as well as stacking robots, sorting robots, and I just see that accelerating into the future. So to the extent the educators and the policymakers are thinking about automation, I think that's a tremendous opportunity in the future. And Lee's team is also working with us and helping us understand maybe an apprenticeship program on truck drivers. There's a national shortage of truck drivers, and I think there are some opportunities for training and partnerships that could be expanded in those areas. Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Right, so our next presenter will be Tracy LaSalle with Kaskaskia College. Is going to be an overview of what Kaskaskia is doing in the region with regards to manufacturing.
Thank you. Hi, how's everyone today? I just wanted to highlight some things with the programs that we have that kind of fall under the manufacturing pathway, or that we're grouping with manufacturing. I think with the worker shortage, some of the things that it may help our district and our region, but statewide as well. We have a contract with the Centralia Correctional Center, so we're offering programming there. And we just signed a new contract with the Illinois Department of Corrections on top of the culinary and carpentry programs. We're going to start offering warehousing and distribution, as well as an HVAC certificate. The other new contract we just recently received, we applied for a kind of a grant or contract with the federal prison camp in Greenville. So it's a federal correctional facility. They were looking for some institutions to offer mechatronics programs. We have industrial automation, technology, electricity. So we submitted a proposal for that and actually received that proposal. So starting in the spring, we'll be working with them to offer certificates in industrial automation, working towards the full degree. When we kind of talk about diversity and equity and inclusion in programs, and that's going to be aiming at the the female population, so that's who we'll be educating there. The females also have some more kind of freedom and flexibility when it comes to Greenville. So most of their education will be paper-based and at the Greenville detention center, but they'll be able to come to our facility and actually work hands-on with the equipment at designated times. The other thing, right, we've been talking a lot about work-based learning opportunities, apprenticeships, huge focus on apprenticeships, continuing to expand apprenticeships, looking at unique opportunities for that, applying for grants, looking at pre-apprenticeships. And Mike mentioned it earlier, some of the issues running into that is age-based, needing to be 18 for that. So just a few highlights of some of our programs. I mentioned we've got the industrial technology, electricity, automation and management program. We've got certificates and degrees. The big thing with that program, and really all of our programs, partnerships and advisory committees are important and key to them. So we just updated our advisory handbook so that we could really run more effective advisory boards. To make sure that we're getting input from you guys as business and industry members, what's forthcoming in the future, what equipment are you using in the field that the students need to see, those internships and apprenticeship and work opportunity, employment opportunities, equipment, donations are huge for our programs. The Antolin Research donated a full-size industrial robot, so students that are doing the apprenticeship with Antolin are getting that hands-on experience in the program, and then they're kind of knowing how to run that when they're working with them. The other thing, I know there's really with COVID, right? We all had to transition to more social distancing and working one-on-one, and the instructor, he said the one benefit that he's seen out of that is students are getting more hands-on training now. Before they would work in groups, right? And one would maybe stand back and let others do it. And so we're really seeing those students, they're forced to work with the equipment, making sure that they're more able and ready for employment. Our welding technology program, again, right over here, we said earlier, welders, just like any sector, are in high demand. You come in, you take a semester of classes, you do an internship or something, you don't come back. So we recently changed some of our curriculum so that our advanced welder certificate, which was kind of set up as a 3-semester curriculum, can now be done in 9 months or 2 semesters. It's definitely a full load for somebody, but if they want to come in and get that certification, we can now get them in and out in 9 months. We've been spending a lot of the CARES and HERF funding, the Workforce Equity Initiative grant that was mentioned earlier. One of the highlights with that was we just purchased a collaborative robot, and that is really one of the first that we know about in our district, the Kaskaskia College District. So we've got some business and industry members who are actually eager to come in and work with our welding instructor, our industrial technology instructor, to see how that works and how they could potentially implement that in their businesses. HVAC program, the big thing to mention there is, again, that CARES and HERF funding, we're purchasing a plasma burn table. So along with the certificates and degrees, potentially looking at some manufacturing opportunities in the future using that. Residential and commercial electricity, the big thing with that program is they do a lot of hands-on projects. So they'll be wiring a brand new greenhouse at Bree Central High School here in the next semester.
And the last thing to mention with reserve funds, ICCD reserve funds, we are actually in the process of strategically planning the needs for a mobile manufacturing trailer that could potentially be taken to high schools with for recruitment, for dual credit training, and also potentially to businesses to do some workforce development, non-credit hands-on training, take it to them. Those are some key highlights. Any questions about our programs or the KC district? All right, great, thank you.
So our next presenter will be Matt Medical. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Dennis Cooper, CEO, President of Mac Medical. We started a business 23 years ago, and it was my second corporate downsizing. I thought it was a good idea. I had an opportunity to build blanket warmers in my garage. So it could be as far as kind of plant, could be a year. That was my goal. Just decided to take it on myself. After getting into the market and evaluating, what competitors were offering, what competitors were doing, the ethics in the market, believe it or not everybody ethics are terrible. We decided to create a company based on Midwest values, and that is, straightforward, honesty, integrity, loyalty. And we carried that for 20 years. I didn't have a sales force staff. So we grew the business from the garage into what we have now, 170,000 square feet, 135 employees now. But prior to COVID, we were a little over 150. We did have to cut down a little bit. But I think we all have. We can go over the products.
Yeah.
The thing that we manufactured, we started with blanket warmers. So those of you that have had a medical procedure and go into the hospital, they put the hot blanket on you. That was the cabinet that keeps the blanket up, and that's what we started with. That and the surgical scrub safe. Two of those products were unofficial products that the company I worked at before. I was on a team of 7 people developing them as new products that we were remanufacturing at the time. And through the process of the development, everyone fell off the team except myself, and I was the first to start. I don't really know why, I just really like building apparently. So hands-on, I stayed in it. Through the liquidation, I was one of 5 that were forced to stay on the take the assets. So the president called us and he said, "You 5 have 2 days to take whatever you want." And so I sat there, I won't pick up a nickel if I find it. And I'm watching the other 4 guys rip U-Hauls and take Mac toolboxes and all this stuff. Friday, I finally clicked. I guess I'll take, the warming cabinet and my files. That was what I liked. And then the scraps and whatever tools we left. And we went to town. My wife and I did this in a 900-foot house with a new baby. Company named after my daughter. And we moved on. So the ethics and loyalty is really kind of what I got for right. Through the process, we just started developing a little this, a little that. We went from shopping everything out and just assembling product to taking a look at what would be next. So we started welding in-house, and we went from chopping out all the sub-assembly, bringing them in, welding the cabinets up, and then doing the final assembly. From there, we decided, well, it might make sense to add fabricate. So then we started a fabrication part. We started with a laser to just see if it was going to work. Handed on, it was great. So we then went ahead and put a addition on, and we jumped right into full sheet metal fabrication. One of the first things I did back in 2007 was started with automation. I'm a huge technical junkie. Technology, like computers, they don't agree with me, but machines do. So the first machine we bought was a fully automated turret. You load in the raw material on one side, it does all the cutting, processing, separation of the finished parts to the scrap, and it leaves you with a pallet of nice, clean parts that should be ready for forming. And we bought, obviously, a sheet metal brake. Back then, it's just a typical air brake where you move the material up and down. It's not very repetitive. We can't do robotics after that. So then we took it to the next step was a metal folder is a machine that you lay your sheet metal on it, and it does the manipulation of the metal. Great technology. But we still weren't getting what we wanted out of it, so we now have fully automated up-down vendors, almost Salvagnini. Salvagnini allowed me to take manufacturing to the next level at that point, and introduce robotics. So then we brought in robotics, and we're capable to start TIG welding and MIG welding with robots to start creating better subassemblies. One of the biggest things that I didn't do through all this process is have a team that understood the importance of change and designing for manufacturability. I'm really kind of blown away today. John Barger, he kind of beat me under this. He asked me about coming today 2 weeks ago. Did not know I was speaking. So, and anyone that knows me, I don't like being in the spotlight at all. Brian just seeing me there. And I want to give a big thanks to Brian and Andy and John as well. Brian and I have talked about this stuff for a long time. And when he told me what he was doing, I was just very impressed. So I'm really excited to see everything that everyone's talking about today. Technology before production. So right now, as a company, we're having the same struggles that everyone else is having. Supply chain issues, people that are actually coming in trained that can actually do the job. So sure, we can find somebody, but is that somebody going to be able to be a contributing factor in the company? 1/3 of my cost of operation roughly is our employees. That's our biggest resource. We can all talk about, this part or that part or this part of raw material, and our focus can get shifted on all of that, but our employees are really our number one. And so understanding that, through COVID, some of the things we've done is sit back and take a look at the culture today and figure out, well, how do we turn the company into an employee-based company to then utilize all the technology that we put in place. So it's been a little bit of a struggle marrying this all together. Human resources, they didn't like the fact that I made them go to talent management. And why? In today's culture, they don't like somebody being a principal. And, it's kind of cute to have a principal on your desk, but talent management, we have to make a difference. We want the people to come in, we are going to invest in you. And if we're going to make that initial investment, why don't we continue this for your entire capital? So changing little things like that, really forging collaboration and teamwork, and getting into that area has been a big emphasis for a lot of years. But one of the biggest problems is still getting the buy-in from my people to accept change, to accept that, the most important thing to do when you bring a new person in is you train them, you teach them, you give them confidence in what they do, right? Because confidence is really the critical factor. Confidence equals success in everything that they do. If they're not confident in what they're doing, what's the point? So this apprentice program that we've been working on has really helped my company. I was really excited about it. And COVID hit, and it was like hurry up and then wait, and so we're finally at that point. We have 2 candidates in right now, officially through the district. We've had several interns before that have went on to great things, and some have stayed on. But this program has really helped us become aware of what is required in today's market as far as, how do you come in and teach somebody, and how do I force my people now to not just treat a new hire and then come in and say, well, you said that you know how to weld, so here's a welder, here's your parts, and go find a friend and good luck to you, right? This has really been a great opportunity for me to force my staff to be more aware of what we're doing here. My objective is to bring in good people, okay? Not find welders, not find fabricators, not find machine operators somewhere. My job is to find good people and train them to do the job. And I don't know how many manufacturers are in here, but finding good people is actually still a challenge as well. Then you talk about retaining, how do you retain them? So it's creating an environment where, my wife and I, when we started the company, one of the things that we really said was, everybody has to work, so why not create an environment that people want to get out of bed and go to work, right? So it's kind of bringing the company full circle back to where we started. And again, this program has been really fun for me to sit and watch my team get engaged with it. We have a gentleman Tadeo, and Tadeo's one of those guys that, you know, he came from East LA and he's got gunshot wounds, and I mean, this guy is great. One of the nicest guys you ever meet, and he's taken this program and he's just got so much pride in what he's doing with these students. It's really, really great to watch. So I don't know, we can talk about the company and products, but you know, in all honesty, none of this is just about people. And I think today is really, in my opinion, focused there, right? The schools, you guys have a very valuable part of it. I worked with Barra in the past, and you know, when Brian and I started talking, I was working pretty closely with Barra, and we couldn't understand why they're sending the students and they get on the line and they're burning holes in steel and would they have a certificate? How can we really be starting here, right? So I was option to go into school and start working with the instructors to give them different material types, to give them a little bit of advice on, well, when they come out, yeah, okay, welding, we all say welding. Welding is not just welding, okay? You have TIG welding, you have big welding, you have stick welding, you have underwater welding, you have light gauge sheet metal welding, you have plate welding, you have all kinds of welding, all kinds of different environments too. And not all welders are meant for every environment. So getting into Batteraut, they were teaching their students really, plate welding is where it's at. You're gonna come out of school, you're gonna make 90,000 a year and you're gonna go at it, right? Well, maybe, and there are those opportunities out there. My production facility, MIG welder's not gonna come in and make that. I'm happy to train somebody to get them to a point where they can be successful. If they choose to go on after, hopefully we get a return on that, wonderful. Not really the case. So Batteraut was kind of an eye opener for me to say, well, gosh, how do we get those relationships opened up? I had no idea what to expect of it. I didn't do my homework. I really just kind of walked in and find it. Or I would go talk for 5 minutes, but sitting in this, listening to the technology and, you know, listening to what Slim's doing with the printers, there really are a lot of opportunities out there. I have a program right now I'm pushing really hard, and it's the DFM program, designing for manufacturability. And it's making my team sit down and say, well, what you've always done is fine, but how do we apply everything that we've learned, everything that we've been trained on, and hopefully collaborate with new students that are coming in and say, well, how can we be better? How can we be faster? How can we be more efficient? You know, how can we make those new jobs that we're going to create and actually drive new revenue, not just satisfy current revenues and leave the profitability the same. So anyway, that's kind of all I got to say today. I could really go for like hours. But I won't bore you all with that. Is there anybody that have any questions about anything that we're doing? All right, thank you all for taking that.
All right, so our next presenter will be Lewis and Clark College. Introduce yourself.
Thank you. Like they said, my name is Paul Keeper. I'm at Lewis and Clark Community College. I just want to talk for a few minutes about a couple of the programs we have there and some of the projects and some of the employers we've been working with. My focus is on the Edwardsville campus, where we teach two different programs: process operations and an instrumentation and control system. So really long name. Basically, what they're going to do is in the process operations program, they want to go work in the oil and gas and chemical fields. So those partners are Phillips 66, Eastman Chemical. We work with them a lot. 15 to 16 years ago is how the program got started. Phillips 66 actually came to Lewis and Clark Community College and said, we have this projected retirement that's going to just hurt us really bad. We can't find some qualified operators trained to come in and actually take over their roles of the retirees. And so they got the program started that way. And that's kind of where we've been focused, is that employer mentality. We have an advisory board that comes to us and tells us, different things as far as what we need to be teaching, what's doing right, what's doing wrong, what we could be doing better, what they could be doing better. And so that's really been the focus. And out of that advisory committee, we actually started a new program called Instrumentation and Control Systems that was started 4 years ago, so we've been going at it for 4 years now. And that's everything from motor controls to PLC programming, instrumentation, level, temperature, pressure, all the things that you see in the oil and gas and chemical industry. And then that leads to any other manufacturing industries. PLCs are found in almost any company that does any type of manufacturing. And so what we do is we run internships. The main people that we work with our internships for is Phillips 66 and Eastman Chemical and another company called the National Point of Ethanol Research Center are our three biggest partners that we have. An internship for us and for them can last anywhere from 2 weeks to over a semester. So one of our internships is just 2 weeks job shadow, and that's more of the chemical operator field, right? You're not going to walk into an oil refinery and actually be able to do anything without a certain level of training. And so those students are doing more of a job shadow. But it's still 2 weeks of getting good experience. And we kind of feel that this is a two-way feedback at the end of this. Not only are the students kind of reporting back on what they learned, but they're also reporting back on what the company did. And did they really learn anything while they were there? Or did somebody just say, oh yeah, you're my intern for today, go sit over there until it's lunchtime. So we get the feedback from the students, and also we get good feedback from the employers as far as listing what the students did well, what the students didn't do well, what we could work on. One of the things we found that we need to work on was our soft skills. They would actually interview our students, and they knew our students could do this stuff. They knew the technical skills were there, but the students just couldn't communicate in an interview. So now we have interview skills as part of all of our classes. We have resume building skills. Services that were offered at our college have always been offered, but they're offered in something extra for the student to go do. But now it's required. It's part of a class. Part of one of our classes is even just jobs. That's one lesson, just so they get a feel of what all is out there that they can go work. So one of the things that we like to do is keep it employer focused. What are the employers looking for? What do they need? And then taking those suggestions that they have and actually implementing them into the classroom. In addition to that, other things that we're being is we're making sure that we're flexible when it comes to those internships. It's one of the hardest things we have because as a community college, not only do we get the traditional college students that come from high school and then do 2 more years and go to us, we also get those returning adults who are working, but they want to better themselves. They don't really like their job where they're at now. How do you fit an internship in if you're already working full-time getting health insurance at Walmart? It's a real challenge. And so working with employers there that we can offer them some other scheduling that they weren't normally thinking of. So that way they can get some of these people into their facility. A lot of employers when they first think internship, somebody brought it up before, I can't remember now, cheap labor, right? That's not what we're after on the college level. We're after a training, invest into the future of this potential employee. So some of those things that we're working around. Other people have mentioned already, with COVID and everything, that's an extra challenge that we've had. A lot of companies, that's just an extra risk. If I bring on an intern, that's one more person that I got to worry about with all the masking and everything else that goes along with it. One more potential person that could in fact have to quarantine my employees. But with this year, it's been a lot more. So we kind of almost took not a full year, but at least 6 months off in 2020, where we didn't have any internships at all. No companies were taking them. And now with the resurgence of the need of the workforce, we've seen that come back in the past. And then also, we've gotten a little bit more flexible with the retraining of employees. So companies that, US Motors is one example. US Motors sent a brand new batch of sales reps. They had a marketing background, they had a business background. They had an engineering background, they knew about the internals of the motor, but they didn't really know about what all went into what the motor was going to do, what kind of pump it was going to go on, what did that make a change, and how are the end users actually using their motors. And so they send in sales reps to come in for just a 3-day long crash course on this is all the different applications that you might see an industrial motor get put into, and these are all the different reasons and things that go into controlling it and everything like that. So those are just some of the projects we've been working on, some of the avenues that we've been going out and doing. And next up that we're working with is we're going to be getting, more high schools. How do we get more high school students interested and into our program? Whether they're traditional, what we would consider, traditional community college students that are just going to go into and get a 2 years, or are they, pre-engineering? So we're working with Carbondale for 2+2 to get engineering technology, applied engineering programs. That way that more student who was like me in high school, I had to almost had to fight my parents just to be able to take electronics program, right? Because I wanted to be an electrical engineer. For me, they don't take electricity, they offer it at high school, they take that. And my parents were like, no, you can't do that, you can't do that. You need all this advanced math, all this stuff to be able to get geared up to a 4-year program. And so we need to be able to work with the students and work with the parents to be able to understand that, understand what to do that too. All right. Any questions?
Next presenter will be Tara Source Global and Brian Hyden, the plant manager.
Good morning or near afternoon, everybody. I'm Brian Hackman, Director of Operations at TerraSource Global. Aerial photo there is of our Belleville factory. This is where we've actually been in operation since 1948. TerraSource as a company has only been around since about 2012. If you mind move on to kind of the next slide. We are a custom producer of industrial crushers, hammer mills, impactors, beaters, and then disc screens and sizing equipment that take out the products for machines. We say that our vision or our mission as companies to help those that help to power feed the world, because that's what the end users of our equipment do with the equipment that we produce. The folks that are used to the Belleville area probably know us more by the name of Dunlock. That's really where we started out as in that facility. Also within the same building, we're producing Jeffrey Rader and Pennsylvania crusher equipment. Over the course of years and some industry consolidation, basically we've all become part of the same company. That is us, and we are the manufacturing center for those 3 brands. Each of them over 100 years old, which creates some challenges within the manufacturing process. So talking about kind of who we are, we're only 120 people strong, but we are a global company in terms of the things that we make and where our things are used. We define ourselves as a custom configured OEM machine fabricator because of the legacy of our equipment. Every engineer wakes up every single day and they decide they want their material coming out of the impactor a certain way. So we help with them in terms of the design of the equipment to make that happen. We have over 1,200 known pieces of equipment that are in service right now in 90 different countries of operation and on every continent except for Antarctica. So nobody's built a big ice crusher yet. That's our equipment. Our presence is worldwide, although we are very well centered here in the greater St. Louis area. Our corporate office is in St. Louis, Missouri, and then the majority of the people work in the Belleville factory. We have an engineering campus in Duncan, South Carolina. Then predominantly sales personnel in the other locations that are shown there. Little virtual tour, I suppose, of the factory. We're utilizing some footage that we got from Intersect, Illinois. So we had some film crews on site to help incentivize manufacturers to come into the facility. So we're not a huge factory. There's kind of a lot of stuff kind of jammed into a small 56,000 facility, square foot facility. What's shown here is predominantly some of our large CNC equipment, some new capital investments that went in. We bought them in 2019, installed them in 2020. So we're continually investing in ourselves, trying to grow the business and trying to truly vertically integrate on things that we do. We buy a lot of components that there's no reason we shouldn't be able to make them within our own 4 walls. Not shown very well are the large fabrication cells that are off to the right. So processes we employ are the same things you would find in pretty much any traditional fab shop that's out there, right? So we're CNC plasma cutting, also oxy-cool with different materials. We're doing welding, conventional GMOD predominantly on plate, a lot of fixtureless welding that's happening out there. Also employ some robotic welding and pseudo additive manufacturing application, trying to develop patterns on rolls. That's what's depicted on the bottom right. On the machining side, we're conventional. We operate a lot of manual lathes, a lot of manual vertical mills, but more often than not CNCs. A lot of CNC vertical mills, CNC lathes, and then large horizontal mills as well. When we talk about assembly, really what I mean are almost like millwright work. So don't think conveyor belt line, think skids and parts, assembly into an area being assembled by a crane, produced machinery to put together. And then the finishing things that go through. Due to our high product mix and our low environment, we demand skilled labor as a function of what we do. We're not making the same part every single day. So that it can make things challenging because you spend more time in many cases on CNC setting up than it actually takes to run a job. So a little bit more about kind of what the things that we offer. So we've been continuously trying to grow our team, basically sort of the last 2.5 years, constantly recruiting for machinists, welders, and that machine assembler position. We have very competitive wages. $18.50 for us is an entry level position. Just to kind of talk about what we offer. The range goes up into the 30s, and we offer a very generous shift premium for those who want to work on second or third shift. In spite of all this, and the fact that if you look at our averages, the most recent wage survey, we're paying 110% of the median for the local area. In spite of this, we have numerous role positions that are open for greater than 12 months. My machine shop is staffed at roughly 50% of what the demand for my products are. Welding is a little closer to where we need to be, which is right around 75% right now. But we still have a pretty dire need for personnel. We've been at this for a while, so we've been trying to get creative with our solutions. So these are sort of the things that we've done and been up to. So we kind of categorize this into stuff that we're already have launched and had some level of maturity in. We don't claim to be experts in anything we're doing, just to make sure that we're very clear about all that. But the traditional stuff, we're marketing ourselves. Actually, this week, if you're listening to The Point or WIL or those radio stations over by Hubbard, you're going to hear advertisements for work for us. So kind of that the traditional pathways we're constantly trying to get into local community colleges and two-year universities, trying to get into folks that are producing folks that are within those skilled trades that we desperately need. We're actually initiating nationwide searches in some cases for specifically for the machinist positions that we're really trying to get. And then of course working with traditional recruiters, the headhunters, those folks. What's maybe a little bit more interesting is where we're starting to get a little bit more creative, which is the internships, the apprenticeships, those kinds of things. We've worked a lot with Lee and company on to try to grow. Our first group of high school interns came from Belleville 201. We started with two welders from Belleville 201 and one from North and South County Tech. And at the end of that program, we hired them on full time. So we've had good success, thankfully, as a result of that program. We're basically in class number 2 of that. COVID basically disrupted everything we did. We got the first one through, but the lockdown happened, and then we basically kind of freeze ourselves out for about a year. So we're just now kind of getting back out there and into this. Within my facility, we've got 3 welding interns right now. My first ever machining intern, so very excited to see that, and hoping to grow that as time goes on. We also, of course, have our Department of Labor apprentice program, where we're trying to take folks coming out of the high school level or incumbent workers that maybe don't quite have those skills up to stuff just yet, and trying to grow them within their trade, because that really is what we're trying to build. We're building tradesmen, not people that are just going to check in and make the donuts, so to speak. The other newer thing for us is we're beginning to utilize retirees. Legacy company, we've had folks that have worked with the company for multiple years. They've gone on to enjoy retirement, but maybe they're wanting something to do to kind of pass the time, maybe earn a little additional money. We're starting to bring them in part-time capacities to actually train some of our junior personnel. That concept is sometimes called the thin grade line. I love that program. Because what you really want to try to do is harness that knowledge and develop your state of work such that the knowledge doesn't walk out the door with them. It's very hard to do that, and many companies can get started on that soon enough. TerraSource is an example of that, and this is a way that we're attempting to recover some of that lost knowledge. So this slide will probably look familiar. Some folks may remember that did these things before. Jeff Horvath, VP of Operations, he was kind of the architect of this. Looking at everybody coming in, we kind of have a very traditional, or one lens, I suppose, that we tend to look at our folks coming into the facility. We have a skills matrix that we use where we basically attempted to take those 3 trades that we just talked about, break them down into their finite elements, and then have an understanding of where every individual is coming in the door in terms of their ability to fulfill those tasks. We bring people in from many different sources that are kind of shown off to the left. That's the purpose of that is. And then there's kind of some decisions that the person themselves makes, right? Because there is a lot of personal skin in the game that people that have to put into themselves if they want to develop themselves. We try to make plans. What are you happy with what you're doing? Do you want to grow to become a journeyman level machinist or welder or machinist upward? If the answer is yes, an avenue that we provide is the Department of Labor apprenticeship program that we have. That will then come along with it a significant amount of mentor guidance. We do that also with the high school interns and co-ops that are coming in. For those that join the apprentice program, because we are not formal educators, that's not what we do. We've partnered with those that are, specifically SWIFT. Mark Bosworth is one that we've used quite a bit, especially on the machining side, and then also for our welder programs as well. As a function of the program that we've developed, as we worked our way through the curriculum and tried to match that to the skills that we need, what we learned very quickly was that we were maybe 1 to 2 courses shy of the associate's degrees from those courses. So for us, it made sense just to, in addition to getting them to that point of that DOL card, we wanted to make sure that they got the associate's degree as well. So we basically built that in as a function of what the folks do. The intent of all this is to develop skills, and in many cases, what we're trying to do is develop loyal employees that are going to work with us for the remainder of their careers. We want that high schooler that came in, started working for us, went through the apprenticeship program, got their associate's degree, and then has a very long career with us. Reality is that may not happen in all cases. In all cases, what the person gets out of their time working for us is skills that they will take with them for the rest of their life. They can apply to wherever they want to go. So if they want to go on the road and become that $90,000 a year welder that's working out in the oil fields, they can do that. Of course, we would rather them stay, but it is really around developing people in terms of the skills that they want. And it's theirs for life, nobody can take that away. So what does that mean? So this is the kind of the scorecard system or the review system that we work through basically over 6 months with the apprentices. When you come into our facility, you're going to make somewhere around $55,000 a year on the low end of the scale. If you factor up all the hours that you're going to work and the general amount of overtime. By the time you exit our program, assuming nominal progression through all the different levels, you're going to graduate basically at somewhere around that $80,000 a year level, assuming that you're working 10 to 15% overtime, which is kind of a normal number for our folks. Of course, with all that, we're a full-time employee. We have very generous benefits as a company, so they get all those things. So the idea here is that we're not offering jobs, we're offering careers. Sounds kind of cheesy, but we mean it. Doing money. So in spite of all that, though, we've not been successful. And what we keep realizing is that, obviously, it's been talked about here, but we're dealing with a skills shortage as a nation. So these numbers are a little bit dated. I think they're about 2 months old, so that right now probably is, I shouldn't say right now. But right now, or the most recent data that I have, there's about 400,000 people employed in the United States as machinists. In Illinois right now, there's 900 open positions right now. So, Mark, what's the current classroom size out of SWIFT right now? Yeah. Yeah. So if the SWIFT is graduating about 32 a semester, you can do the math and think about how long it's going to take for us to plug the gap, right? So there's a significant issue we've got. There's over 28,000 open positions for machinists within the United States, global, nationwide. It's a significant gap, and it takes 2 to 3 years in order for someone to really learn to do that trade, do it well, such that they can really help with the organization they're working for. And then with that, the group is growing. So we're shifting our gaze more towards the long term. That doesn't mean that we're saying ignore all these other things, because those are critical for the success we can continue to grow those. But we're always looking for what's the next hill we're trying to climb. So long range. really trying to decrease, even lower the bar for entry to our facility. So while we say we want entry level, there's still some things you need to know, right? You need to know how to weld, you need to know how to run a vertical weld. In some cases, for folks that are interested, is a barrier for entry. What we were trying to do is send all of our leadership forward, including my manufacturing engineers, through a curriculum that we set up with IMEC, and thankfully grant from the state to help us invest in our supervisory group. We're teaching ourselves training within industries. It's a very old methodology going back to World War II. Basically, when everybody wants to fight the war, to teach folks that weren't traditionally factory workers how to run the lines so that we could win the war. Basically, we're teaching our leadership for that so that we can try to take some of these jobs that we have and break them down and really teach ourselves how to teach, because that is kind of what our own internal barrier is. The next bit is, again, trying to boost enrollment within the local community colleges. So again, it's not our vision to go out there and like compete with them or any of that kind of thing. What I'm trying to hear in the next advisory board meeting is how full all your classes are. Right? In order to do that, what TerraSource is going to be doing is trying to develop a presence within high school and working right now down to the middle school level, trying to increase interest in folks that are in that impressionable age about the trades as a viable career in a way that they can get to that middle class wage that most people are looking for within a very short amount of time. And then once you get there, if that's not what you want to do forever, that's cool. You always learn to trade, and it might become your springboard to go to your next step, right? And then the last piece is kind of a little bit of a longer shot, which is working with the Department of Corrections. We do view that there is a significant opportunity that's out there of folks that are re-entering from those facilities, and in many cases, taking my chief example, which is lack of machinists, there's an opportunity there. There's people that have available time that we could potentially harness. So TerraSource is working to try to actually foster some programs in that arena. And that's it. So a lot going on, but this is something that we're very passionate about. Again, we don't have like illusion of grandeur. We're only 120, 130 people strong company and fully staffed. That's where we ought to be. We should only be about 200 based on current demand for our products. The reason why we come out here and do these things is, we're again trying to generate additional industry interest so that others can participate in this. The idea here is that as a local community of St. Louis manufacturers, if we do this, that we will build within our local geography, basically the skills that we need to build this country. Any questions? All right.
Literally gonna come in and clean up our act.
Yeah. People out there.
So I have very little to offer except to show you who we are. That was the website, did you bring that up? Or maybe some of the videos? All right, so it's just myself and two other people. Started this in my kitchen for fun, and I got into a farmer's market, then I got into a store, and then another store, and now I'm in 28 stores in Chicago. We got on Amazon in 2016. We went global, so now we're worldwide. We got picked up by Hy-Vee Foods this summer, and then Kroger.com, Walmart.com, and then UNFI, nation's largest distributor, picked us up. So we moved down to Belleville, and we bought the old 1940s fire truck warehouse repair station. And we spent the first 6 months out of this year just renovating the building up to what we need. And now we manufacture 4,000 bars of soap a month. We've got 31 products total, so 6 body butters, soap frogs, which are soap shaped like a frog, that come in a box with air holes so they can breathe. We have a character story. And then you enter the pet lock, it comes with a note that teaches you how to teach your frog tricks. So like sit or stay, so they show off a lot. The bar soaps, we went from a 5.8 ounce to a 6.2 ounce, so they're bigger. We're all vegan. We infuse all of the soaps with dead sea salt, makes them last longer, makes them harder. We're Leaping Bunny certified, which means we don't test on animals, or our suppliers don't. Their suppliers don't. We use an RSPO palm oil, which means we're not cutting down the rainforest, but working the orangutans. All of these things are important key elements for our customers, so they know that we're a sustainable company. We manufacture a beard oil, 2 face masks. So all vegan products except for one of the face masks has crushed pearls. And the last thing that we manufacture is a lump of cold soap from Santa. And this comes with a hand stamped wax seal certificate of naughty. This is our big seller at Christmas time. This is what pays all the bills for the previous year. And the sales on Amazon are doubling every year. So that's a problem for us because we have to start manufacturing these in June to get ready for the Christmas season. She's going to pull up. I'm not sure what she's going to pull up. I've got a film degree from Carbondale, so when I'm bored in between, I'm not making soap. I make videos. We've got 52 videos now. I've got a YouTube channel, and they're fun to watch, but I'm not sure where he's going to go with this. But anyway, you guys have a bag back there with a bar of soap in it and a lump of cold soap from Santa. So something fun. The soap that you're going to get, we partnered with Eckert's Orchards this year, and Eckert's asked us to make a peach soap. So, well, this is that's a 0 fragrance body butter. I'm not sure. You want to play that one video? Yeah, sure. Please go ahead. I do want to more. Switch all of our packaging from plastic to glass. Glass has a perceived value because it's heavy. It's cheap, quality. So a plastic jar or something is not sustainable. Plastic is terrible for the environment. Everything is glass. Even the shrink wrap bands are hand applied and biodegradable. We are plastic free. Well, some of the labels, let's say 99% plastic free. What else can I say? You guys have any questions? I mean, I could talk forever about soap. The problem that we're having is I'm the guy who makes the soap. I'm the guy who sells the products, and I love this company, and I'm so passionate about it, and I know everything. That's terrible. But when I'm out talking about it, no one's making the soap. So right when I get done doing this, I'm gonna go back to my shop and put on my Tyvek suit. I've got to make 200 bars of soap today. I've got to cut the soap that I made yesterday. So that's our problem. We've got so much work. We've got so many companies wanting to pick us up, and we just can't keep up with everything. So we're going to be working with Bridges, I believe, they're going to be helping us. It's a group in the Belleville area with the Belleville West School. So that's going to help us with some of our new work. I need someone to hold boxes forever, and someone to make sample bags forever. So that's a group. Anyway, thank you, buddy. I can talk further about this. Grab your bag, make sure you get back. We'll walk you forward. So, thank you.
Presentation. I will be doing an apprenticeship event similar to this, November 16th, back here at this facility, in which we have some exciting employers, a couple of different veterans, give presentations on how apprenticeship is working with them. So the apprentices talk to you about. So we hope to see you back in. Sir, the partnership of November 16th, 9 things right back. All right, just get everybody.